Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Saturday to you all. We already got folks checking in. I apologize that the timer was wrong this morning, but it looks like we got everything sorted out. We got folks here. Folks are going to be joining us. We got folks checking in from all over the world. Feel free to say hi in the chat box. Before we jump in, just a quick reminder. There's still time to join us in the Tapping Mastery Academy. We would love it if you came along and joined us for that. I got a number of awesome questions over the last couple of days. You got questions about joining us? It's very, 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 very simple. All you need to do is drop a note to support@tappingqanda.com. All we're going to do today is we are just going to tap, and then we're going to do some tapping and do some tapping some more. So if you'd like, in the chat, what I'd encourage you to do is to go on over there. And what I want you to do is I just want you to drop into the chat box maybe a limiting belief or something that came up over the course of the week. And what we're going to do is we're going to cherry pick some of those, and we're just going to do a bunch of tapping. But to start, before we jump into all of that, what I want to do is I want to make sure that we're fully present. I want to make sure that we're fully engaged. I know I was scrambling a little bit because when I sat down at my computer 9.5 minutes ago, my computer was rebooting and reinstalling software, and it was a bit of a scramble for us to even get online at all today. So we're going to take a minute, and I'm going to set a timer to do this. Let's just do 1 minute of wordless tapping. So just tap the side of the hand, take a nice big deep breath. And then just move from tapping point to tapping point. Just let your fingers do the walking. And if you end up getting parked on one tapping point, because that's where it feels comfortable, just stay there. And if something comes bubbling up, jot it down. Nice big stretch. Move a little bit. Grab some water if you got some nearby. Tasty. Excellent. Awesomeness. So we already got some stuff that's showing up in the chat box for us to tap along to. Great one just right off the stop there. Not safe or allowed to have what I want. Everybody tap on the side of the hand. Take a nice big deep breath. Tap on the collarbone. Another nice big deep breath. And just move from tapping point to tapping point, repeating after me. I recognize the fact over the course of this week, I have been looking very clearly at where I have been stuck. And what I would like to have change. And as I recognize what is unuseful for me, it helps me to recognize what is useful for me. And the moment that I name the thing that I want, I am immediately overwhelmed with a sense that it is not safe for me to want something different. That there is a part of me that is afraid that I'm going to be judged for wanting different. That I'm going to be criticized for wanting different. That I'm going to be ostracized for wanting different. People are thinking I'm getting above my station. People are going to think that I'm selfish. That I am greedy. If I want something that is better, and I want something that is different. There is a part of me that is also afraid that if I start to create different, not only am I going to draw attention, but I'm going to draw unwanted attention. And I give myself permission to hear, to recognize, and to acknowledge that fear. Because that fear is just trying to keep me safe. That fear is just trying to keep me healthy. And it is appropriate and it is okay for me to hear and acknowledge the fear. And I give myself permission to know that moving forward, I am not moving forward in a thoughtless way. I am not moving forward in a careless way. I am not moving forward in a reckless way. I give myself permission to be fully present, knowing that I can hear fear, acknowledge fear, and still do things in a thoughtful and deliberate way. Nice big stretch. Move around. Again, if you want to grab a little water, I'd encourage you to do so. Now, as we're doing things like that, when you're tapping on your own, when you're tapping along with tap along audio, or you're tapping with a group, with your tapping with a tapping partner, as we're doing this work, if things come popping into your head, make sure you write them down. I never tap without having a pen and a piece of paper nearby, because I want to jot down not only the tail enders that show up, but I also want to recognize the insights that are there. Because there are things that we tapped on in that, or that you have tapped on in the past, that resonate with your soul in a really, really particular way. And if it resonated with your soul right now, more than likely, it's going to resonate with your soul at some point in the future. And so one of my favorite versions of tapping is to take all of the tapping that I have been doing and taking all of those insights and writing them down, and then just tapping through all of those insights as a beautiful little tapping script. So, excellent. Awesomeness. Continue. Drop some insights into the chat box. Drop some more issues into the chat box. And we'll just keep working our way through all of this and pull some stuff in. Here we got one. Women should not make more money than their husbands. Awesomeness. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to broaden this out a little bit for all of the places where it feels like there are people around us who don't think that we are allowed to be more successful than them. Side of the hand. Nice, easy, deep breath. And just move from point to point. I recognize the fact I am swimming in so many cultural stories about what is safe and what is allowed when it comes to my success. I am swimming in stories such as I'm not allowed to be more successful than my partner. I'm not allowed to be more successful than the generations that came before me. I'm not allowed to be successful financially because of the type of work that I am doing. And I recognize the fact that these stories are told to make other people feel comfortable and for other people to feel safe. And I want the people in my life to be comfortable and safe. But wanting that does not mean I should be playing smaller because I am not responsible for the emotional response of people in my life. Especially the adults in my life. They are adults. Therefore, they are responsible for themselves. I recognize the fact that me playing small does not serve the world. Me playing small does not serve me. I give myself permission to know that I am allowed to release and let go of these stories that have been handed to me. It is not my responsibility to play small to make other people feel emotionally okay. I give myself permission to be thoughtful, to be deliberate, to be kind, but being thoughtful, deliberate, and kind does not mean I am responsible for other people's emotional responses. I give myself permission to know that I do not have to play small so that others can feel emotionally safe. Nice big deep breath. Again, give it a little shake. Give yourself permission to have a little sip of water. Again, take some more notes. Notice what's coming up. Notice what the tail enders are. Notice what's hanging around inside of there. Awesomeness. Excellent. Great. Let's see. What else do we got going on here? Ah, great. Here we go. I like this one. Afraid that I won't be able to maintain my tapping every day. And in this case, we're going to tap on any sort of habit that we would like to create to support ourselves as we engage with this. And just move from point to point, tippy top of the head. I recognize the fact that there is a part of me that is worried. That I'm going to create plans to take consistent action to create transformation and change. And there's a part of me that's afraid that I'm not going to follow through on these plans. That I'm going to decide to do something every day And I am going to fail. And the reality is, things aren't actually going to go as planned. I am going to miss days. I'm going to be overwhelmed in the moment. I am not going to do things perfectly. And I give myself permission to know. It is okay. For me not to be perfect. In the execution of my plans. It is okay for me to misstep and backslide. Because every success that has ever been created in the history of humanity has happened by flawed people executing plans imperfectly. There are going to be days where it's going to be much harder. And that is okay. I give myself permission to be okay with and to be present to imperfection. I give myself permission that when I backslide, to assess what happened, to be kind and generous with myself, to learn from the misstep, and to start again. Nice deep breath. Again, take some notes, jot some things down. One thing that's really important to recognize that when we're creating plans, we're creating habits, we're trying to execute things, we're not going to do it perfectly. One of the things that we talk about in the Tapping Habit Accelerator, which we're going to be doing again in a couple of months, which is about how we create a daily, regular habit of tapping or anything else, is one of the things that's really important to do is to create a contingency plan for when you don't do what you say you're going to do, or to create a contingency plan for when you're not fully resourced. You know, I might be in a circumstance where I create a plan where I want to tap for 15 minutes every single morning. Well, there are days that I'm going to be sick. And so in my contingency plan, days that I'm really sick, I give myself permission to tap wordlessly for 1 moment, and that counts for my tapping for the day. Because that's the capacity that I have inside of that. Or when I miss a day, what does it look like to get back on the horse to step back into that particular thing? So as we're creating goals, it's great for us to look at that, but it's also important for us to be gentle with ourselves as we are engaging with all of that. One thing, if I could ask a very, very, very small favor of you. One of the things that YouTube does is it serves videos based on things that are shown as useful. And so when you are watching a tap along video, this isn't just for mine, but any tapping video that you're watching online, what I would encourage you to always do is just go down below and click that little thumbs up button next to the video, because every single time you click thumbs up on a tapping video, what you're doing is you're telling YouTube tapping is valuable. You're training the algorithm to say, this is something I really, really like, which means that other people in the world are more likely to be served some tapping stuff because you have said it is valuable. So super, super small thing. And I'm not saying it, go click the thumbs up for me, but anytime you're watching a video on YouTube that you like, leave a comment saying that you like it, give it a little thumbs up. It's going to train YouTube to say the content that you just receive is content that will keep coming. So just something that's important to recognize inside of that. Excellent. Thank you. I see lots of thumbs ups happening right now. I appreciate that. I wasn't doing it for my thumbs up, but just a little thing for y'all to know. Awesomeness. Great. Other things. It's too late. I'm too old. I've missed the boat. It is amazing. No matter how old we are, we can feel a sensation like this. So that's a great one for us to tap on. Side of the hand, nice big deep breath. And just move from point to point. I recognize the fact this would be so much easier and this would be so much better if I would have started this sooner. Because if I would have started this sooner, I would have been further along. And I know I have a limited amount of time. Because I'm a human. And I am not eternal. And so it feels as if, because of the amount of work that I want to do, it is too late. I give myself permission to know the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. And even though it would have been better for me to start earlier, starting today is what I can actually control. And there are so many people who have had unexpected and overwhelming success later in life. I give myself permission to be open to the possibility that today might be the perfect day for me to start. I give myself permission to be open to the possibility that this moment is a perfect moment. And part of the reason why it is a perfect moment is because it is the only moment that I have access to. And so I give myself permission to seize this moment and use this moment the best that I can. Big stretch. Maybe give yourself a little shake. Years ago, the late, great Alan Davidson was one of my clients. And I don't know if you know Alan. Alan was this giant of a man, 6'8". And I'd say, just stretch or shake it off. And he would shake in such a way that it felt as if, even though he was in Houston, Texas, I could feel the shaking here in New York because he was shaking it off so powerfully. Let's see, what else do we got over here? Ooh, this is an awesome one. I love this one. People may think because I am making a different choice, I am disapproving of their choice, therefore disapproving of them. That is such a lovely, subtle piece of resistance because we want to take care of the people around us. We don't want to make it hard for them. That one is super great. Tippy top of the head, move from point to point. I recognize the fact there is a part of me that knows I am going against the grain of the people around me. I am going against the grain of what is typical for the people that I know. And I recognize the fact that all humans are concerned about connection acceptance. And so it makes sense that I would be worried of what people are going to be thinking when I make the choices that I'm going to make. I am not responsible for other people's emotional responses to my actions, to my choices. I also give myself permission to recognize the fact that me making countercultural choices could actually be an inspiration to the people in my life. That they see me making novel choices might also encourage them to make novel choices. As a species, we cannot agree on. The simple scientific fact that the world is round. And since we can't agree on something as simple as that, no choice that I make is going to be universally accepted. No choice that I make is going to be universally understood. There are some people who are going to be disappointed with me for going against the grain. And there are some people who are going to be disappointed with me because I go with the grain. If people are going to be frustrated and disappointed and have emotional responses to my choices, I might as well be making the best choice for me if I'm always going to get a response. Nice deep breath. Big deep breath. Stretch a little bit. Oh. Again, sip some water, take some notes. Grab those insights, some of those things that you heard that you're going to want to go back and tap to again and again and again. Here's another fun one. I never do anything right, so how can I ever be successful? Side of the hand, nice big deep breath. And just move from point to point. I recognize the fact. There is a part of me that believes that I never do anything right. Therefore, how can I possibly be successful? But if that were true, I wouldn't be tapping along to this video right now. Because if I did nothing right, I wouldn't have been able to log into this. If I did nothing right, I wouldn't have successfully gotten out of bed this morning. If I do nothing right, I wouldn't have been able to feed myself today. My camera's glitching out. Give me a second here. I'm going to fix that so it's not a distraction. If I did nothing right, when things went wrong, like my camera not working, I wouldn't be able to fix the problem. I recognize the fact that my subconscious mind has a negativity bias. And what that means is my subconscious mind is going to remember when things don't go right. Because it wants me to learn from mistakes. It wants me to avoid pitfalls. And because that is the case, it gives too much weight. And it gives too much value to when things don't go right. And because this is the case, I end up telling myself the story that I can't do anything and I'll never be successful. It is good for me to notice when things don't go to plan. It's good for me to notice that I make mistakes. But that does not mean I only make mistakes. I am mistakes. I am a failure. That is not what it means. I give myself permission to know it is possible for me to safely navigate the world imperfectly and still be able to find my way to success. Big stretch. That's a really, really powerful one. That's a really powerful idea. And it's important for us to recognize the way our software works as we engage with all of that awesomeness. Excellent. Very, very good. So let's just do this. Let's just wrap this up just a little bit, move from point to point. I recognize the fact. This is a healing process. This is a healing journey. And I give myself permission to be frustrated and disappointed with the fact that it always has to be a process. With the fact that it always has to be a journey. I also give myself permission to know that healing does not stop the moment I stop tapping. This healing and transformation is going to continue throughout the day. And there are going to be moments where I notice release and transformation. And I give myself permission to smile when I notice that release and transformation. There are going to be other times today where the healing happens in the background. In a way that I don't notice at all. But I can appreciate my system as a healing machine. And even if I don't notice the details, I know the healing is happening. And as I sleep tonight, I allow this healing and transformation to knit itself into every one of my cells. that this healing and transformation will knit itself into the fabric of my being. And as I sleep tonight, it will be no different than a software update where the system reboots and integrates all of this transformation so the transformation is not what I am experiencing, but the transformation is what I am. I appreciate my system. I appreciate its healing power. And I embrace that today. Nice big deep breath. Oh, big stretch. Give me a shake. Move around a little bit. Awesomeness. I hope you enjoyed all of that. We tapped for about 45 straight minutes there. Thanks for the recommendations. I'm sorry I didn't get to all of them there. Again, if you enjoy tapping along with me like this, if you enjoy the type of conversation and transformation and teaching that we've been going on this week, we do this all year round. Imagine what it's like to gather with folks from all over the world every single week to do some learning, to do some tapping, to ask your questions, to do all of that sort of stuff. That is why the Tapping Mastery Academy exists. I'd love if you were willing to join us, if you were able to join us inside of all of that. tappingqna.com/LBC-TMA. LBC stands for Limiting Belief Challenge, -TMA stands for Tapping Mastery Academy. You've also got a number of emails. You'll get a couple more from me with information about all of that stuff. If you've got any questions about the program at all, drop us a note at support@tappingqna.com. I hope you had as much fun this week as I had. It's just such a joy. I love doing this program. We do it every 6 months now. I love the conversation. I love the way you support each other. I love all of the insights that show up in the homework. Thanks for sharing your time. Thanks for sharing your attention. I'm just humbled that you all showed up day after day after day to just listen to me yammer into a microphone. Hopefully that was helpful. Have an awesome, awesome day wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to talking with you and tapping with you again sometime real soon. Have a great day, y'all. Bye-bye.